Yeah, come on, come on. We ready? Are we live? We live right now, y'all? Yep, we live, Joe. That don't say live. That don't say live. What's up? What's going on? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Testing one, two, three. My mic sound nice. So, are we doing the
Yes,
introduction? I doing the
we're
introduction?
live. Yes. Oh, and you done gave enough introduction. Let's hold on.
The doors of the Love Church are now open. Dear world, you name it, we cover it from the world of singles to the behind the scenes of the greatest movie ever filmed, called Marriage. We dig into everything from dating 101. Why won't they commit? It's complicated. I can't do it if it's the three of us. They're a good person, but I'm not attracted to them in that way. 2, they really didn't disclose who they were before I said I do. How do I do this if they can't keep a job? The bills are paid, but the bedroom is suffering. Did I marry you or did I marry your family because we only can take care of us? Let's open up our marriage. Why do I have to buy into your beard gang illusion? You could have told me you were down low and we could have remained friends and not married. And last but not least, did you marry me or your pastor? Have we gotten your attention yet? If so, tune in to Unique Perspectives Love Talk Radio, Thursday at 4:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, if you want to hear more of today's real issues in the world of love. The doors of the Love Church are now open.
All right. Order, order in the court, Mr. Ford.
Here we go.
Court has already started early. Welcome
Really?
to Perspectives Circuit Court Love Talk Radio. I'm your host, Charles Dixon, and I'm here with Mr. Adam Ford, my co-host. How are you, sir?
What's up, fam? Good, man. What's on the docket for today since we in court? What's on the docket?
On the docket, this particular case has been bumped around, and we've moved it around purposely just to kind of see if the people could work out their differences. But it seems that Love is very steadfast on bringing up charges on Insecurity and You. Now, it is doing this because Love says, listen, I was sent here to do a world of good, to make everyone do all of the things that they like to do that much better because love is present. I was also sent here to be the leveling field to the world. That's what love does. Love is the balancer of reason. All right, now we now also have over there, they're over there kind of handcuffed to the chair. We have Insecurity here. And insecurity is insecurity. And let me tell you, Insecurity is in here. Yes, it's Insecurity is the one with the orange jumpsuit and the whole people over there. They all got an orange. But anyway, Insecurity is the team that just is hell bent on interrupting love. The most deceptive thing about Insecurity is we think we're not interrupting love, but that's precisely what we're doing. We have this thing, we learn to adapt all of these insecure ways and we live with it, but it is not a very healthy practice. So the plaintiff's side will rest right now, and we will let Mr. Ford read the opening statements, and we will go from there.
I can't even get it together to read this, man. All right. The trial of Love versus Insecurity and You. The plaintiff, Love, has filed a lawsuit against the defendant, Insecurity, on the grounds that the defendant has influenced many people to self-sabotage the wonderful opportunity of experiencing love in its entirety. Love is a very secure entity when worked to be so. It causes us to move when we're reluctant, to forgive when we're hurt, and even smile at the thought. That said, why do we fight to keep ourselves from such an emotion? On the other hand, insecurity was never meant to be a permanent state of being. It's designed for you to acknowledge, deal with, and make secure. Living with the diagnosis of insecurity is much like living in a house with a broken front door and refusing to make the necessary repairs so that it locks. What am I saying? Insecurity is a true blocker of love and will rob you of what you are very much deserving of if you don't take the time to deal with it properly.
Yes.
There we have it.
That's good. Now, before we even dive into this court case today, insecurity is that topic. I think everyone has we may not all know in its true entirety actually what love is, right? But we do know what we aspire to in love. Most of us, we got love goals, or we see someone, it's our grandparents, our aunts and uncles, or another figment of what we feel is a good representation of what love is. Now, insecurity, on the other hand, is the thing that many of us seem to be either in denial of, clueless about, or I think some of us have just learned to live with these things, right? And so before we go further, I'll go into what insecurity in a relationship looks like. All right. So it says the behaviors of insecurity in a relationship are, number one, distrust, not trusting your partner to be faithful. Number two, jealousy, resenting people your partner is close to. Number three, need for validation, consistently asking for compliments and reassurance. Number four, verification, feeling the need to verify everything your partner says. Number five, worrying about what your partner is doing when they're not with you. This is almost over. Number six, panicking during conflict that your partner will reject or leave you. Impulsive actions, responding to anxiety with impulsive actions. Two more, avoidance, avoiding addressing conflict. And last but not least, disconnection, feeling disconnected from your own power and that your happiness depends on your partner. Now, okay. Insecurity, like I said in the initial write-up, I think one of the most misunderstandings we have about insecurities were never meant to be something we put in our backpacks of life and live with for the rest of our lives, right? When we recognize something about either the way we live, the way we are, or something we've experienced that has left us insecure, the goal is to acknowledge it, work on it while you're addressing it, and at the end of it, make it secure. Meaning, if we're changing the locks, change the locks to a new lock and lock it, right? And that means, so what we have done is we acknowledge these insecurities. And then we just say, I'm good. There's nothing wrong with me, but we are insecure. And we just develop our lives being insecure. We make all sorts of decisions from insecure places. And so I believe this is one of the silent killers because it's wrapped up in so much denial. Many of us are living like let's put it this way. There is the element of physical insecurity. That means, I don't like this about me or my person. I wish I could have a little more of this. I wish I had a little less of that. And it's something that someone else may say, you're fine. Oh, you look fine. But to you, it's not a part of your perfection makeup. So it's something that just bothers you and bothers you. Okay. Then there is the inherited insecurities that sometimes come from, let's just say, family, how we were raised, right? Different traumas and different things that are have just been, I guess, passed down through generations, and you have picked it up. Then there is the insecurity that comes from the result of unfavorable / bad relationships. Marriages, relationships, whatever you call it. When we come out of those things, that movie when they talks about what things we left in the fire, It's almost like when you come out of these relationships, you're left with these things that are in most cases unaddressed. You haven't dealt with. You're living with these different pains and these things that have left you in these different positions, and you just move on and go on with life as it is. And then last but not least, there is the insecurities those that are close to us can cause, like friends. Your friends can keep this insecurity circle going. Let's just say, Adam, I talk to you and you say, man, Charles, I met this wonderful person. Her name is Maria, and this, and she does this. Oh, Adam, let me tell you something, man. Never trust this type of woman. She probably gonna cheat on you in a week. Yes, she will. You understand what I'm saying? And so then I'm transferring my negative insecurities onto you. So that's a very, very prevalent thing happening today, where we are, quote unquote, looking for other people to sort of acknowledge our conundrums, but those people are dealing with insecurities themselves. So I'll leave it at that. All right.
Well, that's a very astute assessment of insecurity. I will say. You know what's interesting, and I think a lot of us, whether we will be willing to admit it or not, and that is the fact that I would say that the majority of us, all of us to some degree, have some level of insecurity.
For sure.
You know, whether or not we acknowledge it or not, or whether or not we allow it to control us and direct us in terms of what we will and will not do. I think a part of it too, in terms of insecurity, and I'm just going to approach it from a very general perspective. I think in some regards, insecurity can be helpful, and I know it sounds a little bit counterintuitive, but it can be, because it can actually keep you from walking into situations that could possibly exploit you, keep you from situations that could possibly hurt you. And so as a result of feeling that way, you build up, defenses and walls, and you learn to be cautious. You learn to keep your antenna up so that you don't walk into a trap, you know what I'm saying, in terms of, going into a place that possibly hurt you. But I think the other side of this is that Charles is referring to is the fact that often we allow these insecurities to run rampant in our lives to the point where now we can't seem to have a successful relationship with anybody because we are allowing our insecurity to direct us in a way that makes us suspicious of everyone that we come across, that nobody is trustworthy, nobody can be faithful, everybody is a threat to me, and I don't have any way to possibly defend myself. And so that's what insecurity does to you. It makes you feel like, that you're not secure. You're not safe in terms of being in a relationship. And I think we need to talk about feeling safe in relationships, because if you don't feel safe in a relationship, then you can't really move to the next level. We can't talk about trust. We can't talk about vulnerability. We can't talk about intimacy. We can't talk about any of those things because you don't feel safe. And you've allowed this unsafe feeling to prevail for so long that now whenever you deal with anybody, you automatically think they're out to get you or they're going to hurt you in some way, form, or fashion. But the reality is you're not even giving them the benefit of the doubt. You're not even giving them a chance to show you who they really are because you feel insecure. You feel unsafe. And I would even challenge us, even as we're having this conversation today, I would challenge each of us to be honest with ourselves and to admit, do you really feel safe in the relationship that you're in? Let me put it even a different way. When you're going on a date, do you feel safe?
Mm.
Or are you always looking for something to happen with that particular person? That's why you want to go through their phone, because you feel insecure. That's why you want to check, what they're posting online, because you don't feel secure, and so you're allowing your insecurities to kind of like to really like manipulate you into places that keep you walled in. Yeah, you're walling everybody else out. Nobody else can get in, but you're also walled in. You're also a prisoner of your own insecurity. So,
wow.
Yeah.
I would take so you brought up something about, and I might put a little different spin on what you said about it's good to have a certain degree of insecurity, because you said it causes us to do different things. I look at it like, maybe I wouldn't use insecurity. Would use humility. And I only say that because it's nothing wrong, like when you're insecure, and if your insecurity, most of the time, most people that are insecure, whether they realize it or not, it really is evident to the outside, right? We don't think it, but when you're interacting with grown people that have been through life, experienced things, it's not hard to hear those things that sound very insecure, see those reactions that sound very insecure, and you're just like, I don't know what this person has gone through, but this. So I'm only saying this to say insecurity gets exploited, but confidence gets respected. So what I'm saying is, it's not saying that I know that we all are not perfect. We all have issues. But the point I was making was just that insecurity was not supposed to be your permanent resting place.
Right.
It's a pit stop. We have made it a permanent residence. It's supposed to be a pit stop that you're going to have several pit stops. Several things in life will cause insecurities. Yeah. But I think when we stay too long in the in realm of things, we pick up too many of those negative ins. Inadequacy, inferiority, inferior, insufficient, inappropriate, and the list goes on of things that are all spawned from insecurity. Right. We make insecure people make insecure decisions. And so when we think about life as a whole, it makes you ask yourself, if you go all the way back in your history and we think about, this husband, this wife, this fiance, this girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever you call it, and you got to ask yourself, who made that decision? The whole you or the insecure you? And 9 times out of 10, most of us have chosen and brought people into our broken lives, right? It's almost if you want to draw a picture, I'm sitting here in this office and someone is like, I'm coming to you, Charles. And I'm like, yeah, come on. But I know that on this floor before you get to me is a bunch of broken glass, right? And so meaning you can come and I'm not necessarily telling you, but I know you're going to get some cuts and lacerations getting to me because I'm not being honest with what's in front of me. And so that's why I say, we all deal with it, but I'm telling you, insecurity is killing love. And I'll tell you why. Look, I can go on. I'll go first. Okay. All right.
Here we go.
Even myself, I have dealt with different insecurities, various situations. Some of them could have been family related. There have been some things in my family. There has been some, how do I say it? There has been some prognosis and diagnosis in my family history, right? That could make you, okay, I'll just go ahead and say it. All right.
Oh, God, here we go. Y'all ready?
In my family, we have a history of some mental illness, right?
Okay.
Some of my family members.
Yeah.
And what that has done for me over the years, and I don't share it a lot, but what it has done for me is it has caused me to be 10 times more vigilant when it comes to relationships. Although I don't always get them right, and I do find myself in, or have found myself in, some situations where I was like, you had no business there. But, right, nonetheless, I do feel like it has been a lot of grace bestowed upon me, because the few family members of mine that have fallen into this mental category, it has been, both situations were outcomes of relationships, both of them.
Wow.
One male, one female. Both of them had been in things where I guess they found themselves outpouring to a certain degree and necessarily not getting that in return. And sometimes when people don't see that ROI, and depends on the way that game is played, you can get twisted. So for me, when I saw that, I said, listen, I don't know what you're going to do, but this is in your line, right? And so there is no magic trick to say it's not going to be you. So you have to do what you have to do to make sure that you're doing the healthy things to keep yourself out of this area, to be able to fall into this. So, that may be one. Then, we all have our personal things, whatever that may be. Things in life that we may have wished we have done better, or made a better decision, or why is my life like this from our own perspective. And so those things we can carry on. I mean, the list it goes on. I mean, decisions we've made, heck, being a father outside of being a husband, that's an insecurity, all those things. And so those things like that can hinder you. But what I can say, just from my perspective, I have been in countless scenarios, or quote unquote relational dating, whatever you call it, where I have witnessed this strong insecurity from the gate. And one of the most famous things that I used to get all the time was, would always ask people, why is it always assumed, Bruce, that when we are getting into these relationships, why is the first rule of thumb that he's going to hurt you? And I always say, any man that's giving himself a wholehearted shot at getting to know you is also making himself vulnerable to getting hurt as well. Now, if he's playing a game, he's married, he has a woman, and if this is just a run at it, right, vice versa, woman or man, then yes, we can say to ourselves, something doesn't feel right. I need to probably make an adjustment. But if someone is trying to give you a shot, there is no textbook answer for avoiding becoming hurt. And there isn't. Most of the times, if you're going to meet someone, if you want to have a fair shot at experiencing love, you got to lay out and risk it. And what we want to do is say we want to get onto the other side, but I want to get onto the other side dragging this 2,000-pound bag of insecurity, and I want you to help me pull it across the ocean. That's what we are telling people. And so it's like, it's not fair to bring someone into your quote unquote insecure world if you're not willing to work with it. And when I'm not saying that we all don't have insecurities, but if you're not going to work with it, what's the point? Like, because most of us aren't built to carry everybody's stuff. Some of us are built, some of us, I happen to think that if someone is purpose for your life, then you have the capacity in you to deal with their stuff. But that's not everybody, right? That's not everybody. But we show up on the scene and we come with all of this bloody attire, bloody history, current stories, past stories, things we're not even telling you. You don't even understand the amount of people that show up dressed up and will present it like, I'm here, I'm perfect, and have not told you the totality of the matter. and you just sitting there like, oh, and you just stumble upon it, right? But nonetheless, it's like, listen, we got to be realistic about this. If you really want the real, you got to give the real. And being insecure, I can just tell you from experience, if you try to navigate life insecure, you'll never get to the holistic happiness that everyone is looking for, right? You're never going to get there like that, no matter how much you think. What we think we can do today is command people to live in our world. Well, this is me. This is one of the worst statements we say today. Well, this is me. Either take it or leave it. We don't want to do anything, correct ourselves, all those dysfunctional characteristics and traits, nothing. All we do, this is me, take it or leave it. And that right there, when you hear that from someone, you know you don't have a fighting chance to make the world go round with them at all.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good, man. I appreciate you being transparent and sharing that, man. That's real. That's real talk right there, man. I wish more of us were able to do that. You know, so let me kind of turn this on the dime in terms of our conversation. Because I want to dig a little deep. I don't want to have a surface conversation in regards to this. I really want to dig deep on this. So I want us to really begin to think about, because I do believe that a lot of our insecurities come from our past experiences in terms of what we have been through, what has happened to us, what we have caused to happen. And a lot of our present day choices are predicated upon our past in terms of what happened to us and why we are the way we are today is based on what happened on yesterday. And I think it's important that we understand that, because if we refuse that, if we deny that, then we are apt to make the same choices over and over and over again, looking for something to be different, when in fact it's not going to be different, because you're making the same choice, but you're just doing it with different people. You're doing it with different people, and that a lot of times is the thing that fuels our insecurity, because Shaniqua, she cheated on me, and so now I got an insecurity about faithfulness and fidelity. And so now when I get with a chick, when I get with another lady or another woman, I'm automatically going to believe that she gonna cheat on me based on my past experience. And so now I got to check your phone. I got to see your emails. I got to literally follow you everywhere you go to find out what you're doing and who you're doing it with, because I'm not secure in my dealings with you. I'm not secure in my relationship with you. And so again, what I'm trying to say is, a lot of times our past experiences definitely inform our future behavior or our present behavior. Let me take it a step further. And again, I want to dig deep on this, and I really wanted to begin to go back and begin to analyze some things and really come away with a greater understanding. Yeah, I really do believe that a lot of our understanding of relationships are families, mommy and daddy.
What we saw.
In terms of their behavior, in terms of the type of relationship that they had. Okay. And so if there was insecurity in that family structure, if there was insecurity in the mom and in the dad, 9 times out of 10, that insecurity gets passed down to the children. And so now they're operating off of a model, off of a template that was based on insecurity. Mama didn't know when daddy was coming home. Mama didn't know what daddy was doing with the money. Mama didn't know who daddy was spending time with. Mama didn't know where daddy was at any point in time. And so now when we walk out of the home and into our own lives, this is how we approach our relationships. This is how we do what we do. This is because this is what we saw modeled in front of us. Okay. And this is what we saw. This is what we saw in terms of, this is how you function in a relationship. This is what you ought to do in a relationship, because this is what we saw. So a lot of our insecurity comes from our own personal experiences, but it also comes from the family that we were brought up in terms of how we were raised, in terms of what was modeled before us. The pathology of our families impacts all of us in terms of what decisions that we make. You know what I realized? I realized on a very personal note, I realized in my own family that there was a trend and that there was a pattern to my family's pathology in terms of how things happen. You know, and I'm gonna take a page out of Charles's book today. I'm gonna be honest and transparent with you.
Come on.
So you know, I came from a single family home. My mom raised me, my brother, and my sister. You know, she got divorced from my dad. You know, but then my mom got remarried again. Okay. And then my dad got remarried again. Man, he got remarried like twice after after my mom. Okay. And so I look at their lives. Watch this. And I also see the same path that I have walked. As a result of what, not that I was doing it consciously, because I wasn't. I wasn't thinking. I wasn't even necessarily considering that this is, what they did, and so I'm going to do the same thing. It wasn't even anything I was doing consciously. Right. This was all an unconscious thing in terms of the path and in terms of the decisions that I made. You know what I'm saying? Now, to some degree, I did not allow my insecurity to keep me from pursuing love again. I did not allow my insecurity to keep me from being married again. Yeah. At the same time, the path that they walked is the path that I am walking. Wow. I'm divorced. I got remarried again. Wow. You know, and I think we really need to take a hard look at, again, our family pathology in terms of behavior and actions and things of that nature, so that we can prepare and warn our children so that they don't necessarily make the same decisions and same moves that we made based on our insecurity. Wow. And I think we really need to take a hard look at it, because I think we can really just really kind of like stem some of this stuff and keep us from having those generational, as we used to say in the church, curses. Yeah. You know, I'm calling it pathology, because when you speak of pathology, it speaks to behavior. It speaks to a way of thinking, a way of moving, and we need to be able to target the things that are causing us to make the decisions that our parents made. Yeah. So that we can make better decisions, so that we're not in the same place that they are, but that we're in a better place that they are. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
You know, man, listen, now you're bringing up some thoughts. Here's another story. I have mentioned this before, but I watched how my dad, holistically, if I gave a portrayal of my mom and dad's marriage, I would say it was solid. My dad was there. My mom was there. If there were any dramatic things in the background, I didn't know of it. Like if there were things, my dad spent the night at home every night. If he wasn't there, he was on a trip with family because he used to want to go hunting. Other than that, he was home. But this is what I will say I observed if we're talking about pathology. Yeah, I noticed my dad. So many of you all may know the song "Doing the But." Anyway, okay. So my dad, so my mom and the guy who wrote that song, Gregory Elliott, with the group EU, my mom and his mom were very close. We all grew up together. So my mom and his mom, when they first got married, they used to be close. They would go out, like it would be like Thursday night. Oh, let's go out and get some martinis, whatever they were doing. My mom was faithful, but she hung out with her friends, right? My dad said, hey, like so many men do, he pulled one of these. You know, Cora, my mom's name was Cora. I think we should come on and go to church. Let's go ahead on in this church and let's go to church together. And my mom was like, okay, after I come back from going out, whatever. Right. So my mom went to church with my dad. He found his church. My mom went. My mom got into the church, got compelled, and never left. Wow. My dad took her there and then went back home.
Right.
So you see the bait and switch. The bait and switch was, I don't want you in the street, but I want you to go ahead on in this church. But
Right.
this is how my dad could not be necessarily satisfied.
Okay.
Because when she wasn't hanging out no more, she went to church, got committed, and was at church all the time.
Mhm.
Then his argument was, you spending too much time down there at that church.
Right.
It was another thing. And so the point I had learned in life was that dynamic told me how important commonality is.
True.
Now, my dad had integrity. That's why when my mom wasn't home, he wasn't out in the street running over here getting this one like we can do. None of those things. He was just like, she doing her. I wish she could be home sometime, but I'm gonna handle this. But what my dad did do was, I saw him. I would always say to myself, why won't you go with her? Like you brought her there. Like how much more in tune would your marriage be if you all enjoyed the same thing together? Right. But what I saw throughout life was my mom made a decision. She was married to her decision. My dad was just married to his. He was home. He was, he was just like, he would work on his cars and do all his book reading, but that was it. And so their marriage was the totality of that. And it took my mother passing. When my mother passed is when my dad had all of this regret after the fact. And he started wishing he had taken the time to do the things that were monumental or that meant something while he had the time. So that was like a lesson to me to say, listen, sometimes men, if we're honest, we want to know that. Okay, let me just get to the chase and I'll cut to the chase.
Please.
Insecurity that I left out that I didn't say personally was over time, if I had to be honest, I think I developed an abandonment insecurity.
Wow.
Because when I think of, I can think off the top of my head. And the thing is, I may have cast my pearl before the swine several times in life, but I can surely think of 3 relationships specifically that were all similar in the way they dismounted. And each of those left me with that whole mindset of, yes, I love me some women, but I don't think I like them too much. So I'm just saying, it was that thing where it was like, I loved women. I definitely was a heterosexual man, but I didn't like women for a while. And so for a while, it reflected in the way I treated them. Okay. Because I used to feel like, why do I, and I said this before, why do I have to go into costume for you to like me?
Right.
Why can't you like me at base level? Why do I have to do all of these superhero-like feats for you to be like, oh my goodness, or whatever? And like I said also before, it used to seem like the more derelict, the more ratchet, the more dishonest I was, the more loved I was. And I could not understand that. To me, I'm thinking, I saw my dad love my mama this way. He married her. He stuck with her. He wasn't doing this. So I see the blueprint. Right. But when I tried to do the blueprint myself, it just didn't seem to come together. So for me, I used to just be like, I don't understand this world. Why can't you just be yourself and be embraced? Yeah. But as we know nowadays, you better have on an emotional Kevlar vest because you're going to get shot up if you sleeping. That's just the truth of the matter. That's why if you have somebody that rocks with you 10 toes down, you better keep them. Yeah. Today, right? Yeah. Today, you got that's not an easy thing to get.
So again, I want to take another turn, and I just want to I want to bring some prescription to this whole situation in terms of insecurity. Yeah. I really do believe that one of the things that has made my relationship with my wife work is the fact that when we first started dating, we had a conversation about our stuff.
Stuff that the junk we come with. The junk we come with.
Your issue, or your problem. Again, your family pathology. Those things that kind of make you go, "Oh no, I'm about to run up out of this joint real quick."
Yeah.
we're not about to do this. Lord have mercy. Okay, so I just had a thought in my mind. I'm about to get in a lot of trouble.
I remember. Go ahead.
Oh God. No. So yeah, we need to. Here's the thing. Listen. Take a note on this.
Okay.
We need to expose our insecurity, because one of the things about insecurity is that you hide it.
Yeah.
You don't expose it because it is an insecurity. Because you don't feel as though you can safely relay this information to anybody, so you hide it. You keep it to yourself. You don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
That is the wrong way to handle this, particularly if you are in a relationship. Because the more you hide it, the more the other person is going to begin to suspect something's not quite right here.
Yeah.
Something's off with this.
Yeah.
Why are you acting like this? Why are you all of a sudden just going off for no reason at all?
Yeah.
Little did we know that it was your insecurity that was starting to flare up. So you have to expose your insecurity. You have to expose your insecurity, because when you expose your insecurity, you will secure your love.
Wow.
You expose your insecurity in order to secure your love. I remember having a conversation with my wife. We were dating at the time. And again, we were just talking about our stuff. And one of the things that I said to her in regards to being in a relationship with her, or being in a relationship with a woman, was the fact that I had a fear of being neglected. I had a fear of being neglected because I was neglected.
Wow.
And stepping into a new relationship, I did not want to spend my time in investing in something where I felt as though I was going to be neglected. And I said to her, listen, you ain't got to worry about a lot about me. I'm not a party person. I don't go to clubs. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't do any of that stuff. Okay.
Right.
So you ain't got to worry about that. But what you do need to be concerned with is, are you paying attention to me?
Wow.
Because if you're not to me, if you're going to negate, you go out and you do whatever it is you want to do, then I'm not going to be hanging around.
Oh wow.
The kid's not going to be by myself. I can be by myself. If you're going to neglect me, why should I hang around? You're going to neglect me. Listen. Been in relationships where, it started out good, and then the person got there and, they started doing their own thing. They started going out or whatever like that. But as for me, my insecurity was not going to allow me to remain in a space where I was being neglected. And so one of the things that I had to do was, again, I had to expose that. I had to become vulnerable. I had to become open, and I had to give her access to that part of me that wasn't feeling so secure.
Oh, that's good.
That way I could diffuse the insecurity. So the insecurity wouldn't have a place to be able to stand up and say, hey, neglecting you, what you gonna do now? You know what I'm saying? And so now what happens is, because I did that, there are times and there are places within our relationship where I'm like, hey, we need some attention over here. What's going on? And she comes running. And for her, there is a thing, and I'm not gonna say what it is, but there's a thing, and I make sure. See, this is what needs to happen. If we're part of each other's life, then your insecurity is the thing that I secure.
Oh, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So that way, you don't have to feel any kind of way about it, because you can trust me. I got your insecurity. I'm gonna handle your insecurity. You don't have to deal with your insecurity. Let me deal with your insecurity. Let me calm your fears. Let me bring peace to your mind. Let me assuage all of your little intrepidations in terms of everything like that. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. I'm going to secure you. I'm going to make you feel safe in this relationship.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring you to a place where you don't have to worry about this, that, and the other because I got you.
Yeah.
So by exposing your insecurity, you take its power away. Help me, somebody up in here. You take its power away. I know, right? You take its power away, so you no longer feel insecure in the relationship. Because again, often because we do feel insecure, Charles, we end up sabotaging that thing.
Yeah.
We end up putting a bomb on that thing. We end up making that thing not work because we are not feeling secure in our relationship.
Yeah.
Take it from one who has been through it.
Yeah.
Let that other person know, this is what I'm feeling insecure about. Can you help me with this?
Now, that's amazing. Listen, based off what you said, the question then comes, how do we get there in the space of two people? Because oftentimes when this isn't dealt with properly, quote unquote, white gloves, what happens is we weaponize our insecurities towards the other person.
That's true.
It becomes, let's take what you said. I'm not saying that you did it.
Oh, yeah. Come on.
Hold on, Maria. Anyway, I'm not saying that you did it, but listen. Listen. Just like when you said a second ago about you need, like, in other words, I don't ask you for a whole lot, but I need attention. I'm just using this as an example.
Yeah.
If this was the opposite way around, I have seen situations where maybe the person needs attention because sometimes, listen, like I said earlier, some of these things are our personal issues to deal with.
True.
Now, we can lay it on the table in front of our partners, but it's not fair to weaponize it against them. And in most cases, what we do, and I'm using this as an example, not you, but just saying we'll be like, all right, I need some attention. If you don't give me enough of it, I'm doing me. And wait, hold on. The thing we have to back up and remember, this is your insecurity.
Right.
I'm committing to work with you and be patient with you to get through this, but it's not my insecurity. And so we have to be clear with those, because like what you said was wonderful to hear. To let's just say women and men, if they heard the opposite sex say, let me carry this, let me do this, everybody's gonna be like, yeah. But how that gets done is key, because we don't all take the right and fair roads to that. And so what you said, what I think what would be key is to just say, hey, sweetheart or sir, this is what I'm dealing with.
Right.
How does this weigh against your capacity? Is this a lot? How do you deal with this? Right? How can we handle this? Because, I don't want to, like, I care about you, I love you or like you, whatever. But I don't want to overwhelm you with me if you can't carry that. And what I have learned personally is, like I say, you run into situations where it is very hard to be transparent, because oftentimes people don't show enough empathy to get past their own agenda. Sometimes I have an agenda. I hear what you're saying, but I want to get over here with you. So if you're not going to be the man or woman to get this together so we can get over here together, then I'm leaving you alone. And what that does is further damage the person. So that's why we have to enter into this fair zone and be able to talk these things out amicably without judgment. The hardest part about this is most of us we cannot enter into these things without being judgmental.
Right. So here's the thing that I really want to make plain to everybody in terms of talking about this prescription of exposing your insecurity so that you can secure your love. The reality is that when you do that, that doesn't mean that the insecurity just instantly goes away.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that now it's going to be nice and cool and we're never going to have an argument and this issue is never going to rise up again. Because the reality is I had to deal with that.
Wow.
I had to deal with her insecurity. I had to deal with the reality of it all. Yeah. And even though, again, we know what the insecurity is, does not eliminate the insecurity. It just exposes the insecurity. So now we know what we're dealing with. So when I see it rise up, I got you. Oh, I got this. But I've been here the whole time. I didn't go nowhere. I ain't talked to nobody. I ain't been with nobody or nothing. So why are you letting something that's not real, that you made up in your own head, dictate what is truth? Because the reality is what you're thinking is not the truth. You created an entire scenario based off a feeling that lasted for a moment. Yeah. But it ain't real because feelings are not facts. We confuse them often, but feelings are feelings. Yeah. They're here for the moment and then gone the next. Yeah. Facts are reality. And the fact is, I'm here. The fact is, I haven't been talking to anybody. The fact is, I'm not going to leave you. The fact is, I'm committed to you. The fact is, we're going to make this relationship work. The fact is, we're in this thing together, and I love you and you love me, so why can't we get this thing together after all? Yeah. Do not allow your insecurity to run your life like that. You got somebody that's on your side, that's willing to ride it out with you and for you. Why not take a chance, take a risk, and say, this is the thing that's hindering me? So that the person who's with you can help you with the hindrance. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so here's the thing. You got to be able to roll up your sleeves when it comes to a real relationship. Watch this. Listen to me, brothers and sisters. When it comes to a real relationship, you got to be able to roll up your sleeves and get dirty with it. Let's get to work on dealing with this issue. Yeah. And that's not to say that the issue will never rise again, because, again, it's an insecurity that you have. You take you wherever you go. You can't leave you anywhere. You're everywhere you go. And so that's where your insecurity is going to be. Yes. What I can do is I can secure the insecurity so that you are no longer subject to it. Yeah. Again, we can't completely eliminate it because you have to do that. You can talk, you can deal with your own insecurity. The only thing I can really do is help secure you in that, to make you feel like you don't have to feel like your insecurities got control of you. Okay. So that's reality.
Perfect example. What you said, when I'm going to back up on what you said about the work, like you need to do the work. So the thing is, many of us, that's what we avoid doing. Well, instead of being vulnerable and presenting the insecurity out of fear of being dismissed, judged, or sometimes we don't tell because we think the other person is going to use the advantage, right? The advantage concept. But here is the thing. What we do is when we don't share and we still don't get what we think we need, we forget that when we leave the relationship and go over here and go over there, you're still taking you, and work still has to be done. That's right. If you meet how many women, how many men, you can leave this one and leave that one because they're not giving you this. Everywhere you go, you will see the reflection of you. Everywhere you go. It don't matter who the person is. And maybe you may go somewhere where someone is silent and they're not saying nothing or showing you the reflection, but you feel what you are and you feel where you lack. And we don't do that. So here's the thing I always used to think about. I look at how God formed responsibility in this world into three. He made eagles the kings of the air, lions the kings of the jungle, people the kings of the earth. We are the only people who don't hold fast to our responsibilities of life and love. What we do, you don't see an insecure lion. You don't see one saying, roar. You don't see that eagle saying, you don't see that. We the one who come up short. The people. The lions and eagles hold the fort. They are respected in the jungle. The eagles are respected in the air, but the people, we are a mess. Like we a whole mess. Somebody said something today on one of these. I was on this thing earlier with Country Wayne and some other people. It was this small little platform. And they said, what do you think is some of the problems that we're experiencing? Why do you think we're experiencing so many relationships problems today? I said, because I think it's because of the many layers we carry and the many masks we wear. That's true. We do this because we're not being honest when we step into situations withholding our insecurities. So if you're not bearing them, you're masking them. And you're layering and layering. Each relationship, you add a layer. You add another cover. You add another lie. You add another pretentious conversation, pretentious moment. This is how my life is. But you don't tell that if I don't come home on time or don't answer the phone one time, that your whole world collapses. Right. So you gotta be honest with these things so we can be straight up, and that's how we can have that successful relationship that we need. Because listen, love doesn't need to be talked about. Love is love. Love is strong. It's resilient. It's forgiving. It is long suffering. Doesn't mean take it for granted, ride or die, but it is long suffering. It's patient. It is kind. It's not dismissive. It's not, I'm going to cut you off. I'm going to block you. That's not love. That's flesh. So we have to be able to differentiate between these things and stop this, because what it really is, it's abusive behavior. When we don't, you may not be physically hitting someone, but when we don't address us and live with insecurities, and if the other person on the other side doesn't do the things we like or quote unquote need, then we start the abuse. The abuse is you blah, 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 whatever that looks like. It's just we come from all angles giving it to you, so to speak. And so that's very selfish and condescending. And so this is why what you're saying, Adam, we have to reinforce those conversations of safety. And you have to do them in a way, approach them not talking at one another, but talking to each other and actually listening to attain and not listening to respond. Right. Most of the times we listen to Herb and clap back and let me bust you out and tell you about yourself. You need to listen, absorb, take a minute to be quiet if you need to, and then come back and ask your question. So how do we approach that? How do we go from where we are in this space and approach that? Because I don't want to put it all on you, because it's two people in this. So while you may be the man or you may be the woman, we still need each other to move. Yeah. We always conveniently say, well, you the man. We say you the man when it's convenient. But when we rise up, you ain't the man no more. So the point is we got to check all that and be realistic and say, what are we going to do here? If we're going to make this work realistically, let's lay it out. Let's stop ignoring the obvious. Because the obvious, in case some of you all don't know, the obvious are those ratchet and toxic characteristics in relationship that we continue to display because we don't address our insecurity.
Right.
Yeah, that's it.
Real talk, man. Real talk. And I think, I'm going to say this one thing and then I'm going to be done. I think it's really important that we understand that in order for us to deal with our insecurities, even in terms of what I've said about exposing our insecurity to the other person, that it is going to take a degree of becoming vulnerable to that person. That means you have to take off your armor. You have to take off your breastplate and your helmet and your leg guards. You have to take off your armor and you have to be vulnerable with the person that you're sharing your insecurity with. Because the reality is that, your insecurity is running you into the ground and you can't handle it anymore because it's causing you to make decisions that is causing you to miss out on potentially good relationships. And so at some point in time, you're going to have to take a chance. You're going to have to be vulnerable with somebody. You're going to have to be open and transparent with somebody and allow them to see you for who you really are. Charles, you were talking about what love is, and I just want to add this one little thing. Love accepts what we deem as unacceptable.
Yeah, that's good.
And it does. It does. It accepts you for who you are, with all your faults, all your deficiencies, all your issues, all of your insecurities. It accepts you for who you are. And when you have that acceptance, that allows you to feel secure where you are. You don't have to worry about all this other stuff happening, because now you've got somebody who's got your back. You know what I'm saying? And you don't have to sit there and try to secure yourself, because they're going to secure you every step of the way.
Yes. And even I'll say this comment for the atmosphere. I think it'll fall where it needs to fall.
Yeah.
We don't need to hide. Speak our piece on the platforms. You know, I'm telling you, you get more out of what you need to say and what you need to hear, as they tell you in the church, when you come as you are. Now, I'm going to make this a learning moment.
Okay.
When we hide under the fake gauzes, right, we are approaching people fake. That's like saying, I'm Charles and I'm coming to you, but I'm sending the invisible version that you don't get to see who I am. So in life, too many times we peruse in and around these platforms, and we hide behind these keyboards, and we say what we want to say, and we pretend to be something or someone else to convey a message, when the most strength you could ever do, irregardless of your experience, your relationship, your memory, your thought, your action with anybody, come forward as you are. You get respected that way, certain person. All I'm saying is come real. Be who you are. Don't hide. You got questions, you got inquiries. Be realistic. We all are laying it out. Everybody is just coming and saying what they say. And I'm only saying that. I'm not trying to pick fights today, but I'm just trying to help somebody on tonight. Anyway, if you want to get, the way you get real love is you come real and the person comes real. You lay it all out together, and you deal with the good, the bad, the ugly together. You don't get anywhere with layers and masks. They all have ceilings and block walls. So if you want to go beyond these things, you got to expose beyond these things. Period. All right, on tonight, we appreciate you guys for tuning into Unique Perspectives Love Talk Radio, where we talked about next up the case of love, the trial of love versus insecurity and you. So again, love is upset, and love is going to start garnishing relationships. Anyway, it's going to say, all right, Bruce, it's time for you to go. And it's going to take people out of things, and that's it. Got to get these relationships together, or we're going to get repossessed and garnished. So, all right. So anyway, all right. So we will definitely see you guys next week at 4:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in and supporting today. As usual, much love to y'all. We definitely appreciate. Please like and share at your convenience.
Please like and share. Definitely.
Help somebody else on today. Somebody else is also struggling with a lot of these same things, and they're only going to get the help is when they're exposed to people that me and Adam don't have all the answers. But guess what? It beats somebody is talking. Nothing gets done when everybody's quiet, right? So if we can get the conversation started, that's how we get the fire spread. Period. All right. Yeah, I'm going to really speak my mind in a second. All right. All right, Mr. Ford. Do you have anything to tear down what we said earlier?
No, I'm not. No, that's your job. That's your job. Come on, let's go. That's your job. That's your job. Tell all that hard work I just did. You want me to tear it down? What? The devil is a liar.
No, that was good. No, man, this was really good today. I don't have anything I could say about this. I just would say, we gotta, only thing I have to say is we gotta stop letting, like today, insecurity is driving most of these relationships. Mm-hmm. And that's why we're having so many car wrecks all over the world, because we have the wrong entity behind the wheel. We got to get to the point where we become level-headed enough to not say that we're perfect, but we work on these deficiencies enough to get to a common ground where, like going to the gym, the point of going to the gym is to consistently practice these reps enough so that you can begin to burn the fat, build the muscle. That's the whole point. So that's what we have to do in relationships: burn the fat, build the strength. And we do that by continually working on those things that are lacking in our relationships.
Yeah. I want to piggyback off of what Marlena had said. She said, choose wisely when removing that protection or removing that armor that I was talking about earlier. And she's absolutely right, that you need to choose those moments when you allow yourself to be vulnerable, when you allow yourself to be open to somebody else. And I think one of the signs that you can judge by in terms of picking that moment is if they have proven themselves to be trustworthy with you, that you have trusted yourself to them, and now you know that they are trustworthy, and so now I can trust you with my vulnerabilities. I can trust you with my insecurities, because again, this thing doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. It's a process. So you have to be patient with the process so that you can progress to having that moment of openness, that moment of vulnerability where you can entrust yourself, entrust your insecurities with the other person. So definitely choose your moment wisely in terms of when you share yourself with them. Absolutely.
Yes, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Well said, sir. We appreciate you guys once again for tuning in, and we will see you guys. We're signing off. We'll see you next week, same time, same channel. God bless.
Peace.